The name Sylvester Stallone instantly brings to mind images of strength, determination, and the spirit of never giving up. Through legendary characters like Rocky Balboa and John Rambo, Stallone became one of the most recognizable symbols of resilience in modern cinema. For more than 5 decades, he has represented the underdog who rises against impossible odds. Yet behind the powerful punches, inspiring speeches, and cinematic victories lies a life story far harsher than any script. His journey was filled with rejection, pain, tragedy, and relentless struggle, proving that the real fight for Stallone happened not on screen, but in life itself. A birth that changed everything. Sylvester Stallone's first battle began on July 6, 1946, in New York City. Complications during birth forced doctors to use forceps, but the procedure went terribly wrong. The nerves controlling the left side of his face were permanently damaged, leaving him with partial paralysis. His lip drooped, his speech became slurred, and his facial muscles never fully recovered. What should have been a normal birth turned into a lifelong physical challenge. The condition shaped the distinctive voice and expression that would later become famous. But during childhood, it made him a target for ridicule. From his very first breath, Stallone entered a world where being different meant constant judgment and misunderstanding. A childhood without comfort. Stallone's early home life offered little support for a child already struggling with a visible condition. His father, Frank Stallone Sr., had a volatile temper, while his mother, Jackie Stallone, was deeply focused on her own ambitions. Their marriage was filled with conflict, arguments, and instability. Instead of compassion, young Sylvester often felt like an unwanted burden. When his parents divorced, he was passed between relatives and boarding schools. The emotional neglect left deep scars. Stallone would later admit that he often felt invisible and unwanted, believing he had been born into a family that never truly knew how to love him. School years of isolation. School life proved just as difficult. Other children mocked his slurred speech and uneven facial expression, turning his physical difference into constant entertainment. Teachers sometimes misinterpreted his speech issues as a lack of intelligence, labeling him slow or difficult. Frustration and humiliation built inside him, often exploding into fights. Stallone became known as a troubled student and was expelled from several schools during his teenage years. The boy who struggled to defend himself with words began defending himself with his fists. Each insult hardened his resolve, but it also deepened his sense of isolation. By the time he reached adolescence, Stallone had already developed a reputation as a rebellious outsider. A dark period in Switzerland. At 16, Stallone's mother sent him to a private school in Switzerland. While the move might have seemed like an opportunity, it only intensified his loneliness. Far from home, surrounded by unfamiliar language and culture, he felt completely disconnected from the world around him. The isolation pushed him into a deep depression. During this period, he even contemplated ending his life. Yet, somewhere inside him remained a stubborn spark of hope. Stallone began exploring acting and physical training as a way to channel his emotions. Performing on stage offered a rare moment where his voice and appearance were not weaknesses, but unique traits that made him stand out. Arriving in New York with nothing, when Stallone returned to the United States in the late 1960s, he carried little more than determination. With about $40 in his pocket, he moved to New York City hoping to become an actor. Reality hit quickly. Casting directors rejected him repeatedly, often before he could finish speaking. Many believed his speech and appearance made him unsuitable for film. To survive, Stallone worked odd jobs, including cleaning cages at the Central Park Zoo. Some nights he slept in the Port Authority bus terminal because he could not afford rent. The dream of acting seemed nearly impossible, but he refused to abandon it despite constant rejection. The birth of Rocky. Everything changed in 1975 after Stallone watched a boxing match between Muhammad Ali and Chuck Wepner. Inspired by the underdog spirit of the fight, he wrote the script for Rocky in just a few days. Studios loved the story, but offered him a difficult deal. They would buy the script if another actor played the lead role. Stallone refused. Despite being nearly broke, he insisted that he portray Rocky himself. Eventually, the studio agreed, giving him a small budget, but allowing him to star. The gamble changed cinema history and turned Stallone into a global icon. Fame, success, and new challenges. The release of Rocky in 1976 transformed Stallone's life overnight. The film became a massive success, winning the Academy Award for Best Picture and earning Stallone worldwide recognition. Sequels followed, expanding the Rocky legacy and establishing him as a major Hollywood star. Soon, another legendary character emerged with First Blood, introducing audiences to John Rambo. Through these franchises, Stallone dominated the action genre throughout the 1980s and 1990s. Yet fame also brought pressure, criticism, and periods of declining success. Hollywood can be unforgiving, and even global icons sometimes face moments when their careers appear to be fading. Personal tragedy and loss. Despite professional success, Stallone's personal life faced devastating heartbreak. In 2012, his eldest son, Sage Stallone, passed away unexpectedly at the age of 36. The loss deeply affected him. No amount of fame, wealth, or recognition could ease the grief of losing a child. Stallone became more private, focusing on family and reflection. The tragedy reminded him that life's hardest battles occur far away from movie sets and cameras. Even the strongest individuals carry wounds that never completely heal. For Stallone, the pain of losing his son remained a quiet but powerful part of his life. A powerful return with Creed. Years later, Stallone returned to the character that defined his career in Creed, directed by Ryan Coogler. The film followed Adonis Creed, played by Michael B. Jordan, while Rocky served as a mentor. Stallone's performance carried deep emotional weight, reflecting his own experiences with loss and aging. Critics praise his portrayal, and he received an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor nearly 4 decades after the original Rocky film. Although he did not win, the nomination symbolized a remarkable comeback and reminded the world that true resilience means rising even when people believe your story is finished. Life beyond the ring. Even in his late 70s, Stallone continues to evolve as an actor and storyteller. He expanded into television with the series Tulsa King, proving that his presence remains powerful in modern entertainment. Away from the spotlight, he lives with his wife, Jennifer Flavin, and their daughters, focusing on family and personal growth. Stallone also supports young filmmakers and athletes through scholarships and mentorship programs. His career has earned hundreds of millions of dollars, Yet he often says that perseverance, not wealth, is the true measure of success. Outro. The real meaning of strength. Sylvester Stallone's life proves that resilience is not about perfection or constant victory. It is about continuing forward despite rejection, humiliation, and heartbreaking loss. The same man once told he could never succeed because of his speech and appearance eventually created one of cinema's most inspiring heroes. While Rocky Balboa exists on film, the determination behind the character is entirely real. Stallone's journey, from a struggling young man sleeping in bus stations to a global legend, remains a powerful reminder that success often belongs to those who refuse to quit, even when the entire world expects them to fall.